What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer, and obviously there's a new set coming out, Rise of the Duelist, and I know I've been buying sets recently. I bought the Sacred Beast thing, and I also bought Battle of Legends, but I think I'm not buying Rise of the Duelist, and I'm actually going to go card by card with you guys and say like whether you should buy it. Honestly, I'll just tell you right now, I'm not interested at all. The fact that Gaia the Fierce Knight, which is cool, I totally love like legacy support. Obviously, you guys know that's like my thing. But the problem is when your support isn't that good and that's your selling point, that's your cover card. I mean, we're talking about sets coming up like Phantom Rage, where there's just like meta defining stuff in there, in my opinion, or at least the very least it'll see play. You won't see any Gaia the Fierce Knight stuff, and that is like the cover card. And the selling point of this obviously is going to be Dogmatica and Informal Knights, but we'll just get started and we'll go over the Gaia stuff first, and I'll tell you, in my opinion, whether or not I think this will be decent support. Like, the thing is, you know, if the support is good but it's not like meta defining, that's fine, because if you release meta defining stuff and the cards are already in place that are good, it can, you know, obviously that raises the bar. If you create supplemental support, that makes it the best, but we're going to decide whether that foundation is good enough to do that or if it's just screwed basically at this point. So yep, I'll probably skip over a few cards, especially the Marface stuff. Honestly, it's just, I know it's cute, but it's not that interesting to me. Although I think it technically could be Egyptian God support, just because it has stuff, access to stuff like Obedient School. But Gaia the Fierce Knight Origin. This card is treated as 2 tributes for a tribute summon of a warrior monster. That's pretty restrictive. But it's a level 4, so I guess let's see if this is a decent normal summon. You can use each of the following effects of Gaia the Fierce Knight once per turn. This card. You can send 1 level 5 or higher monster from your hand to your graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand. Okay, already it's conditional, so it's not very good late game, most likely, unless there's an easy way to recur sources. And are you really going to be playing that many high-level monsters? Like, you're just asking to be bricked, but okay. Let's see. You can banish the card from your graveyard, then target 1 monster in the field whose current attack is different. I mean, it's not good, in my opinion. So, moving on. Gaia the Magical Knight. This card is always treated as Gaia. This is the Fierce Knight. Okay. If you control the monsters or your opponent controls a monster with 2300 or more attack, certainly not too hard. You can normal summon this card without tributing. This card is normal or special summon. You can special summon 1 level 5 dragon monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. Oh. Again, it's one of those conditional things where, like, yeah, is it hard to have a dragon monster in your graveyard or your hand? And maybe as we go along, we'll see some more support. But I've only slightly, you know, lightly introduced myself to this stuff, so I'm kind of almost reading this for the first time, like in depth. So again, I don't know how easy it is to have that condition available. This card would be much better if it would be special summon without, you know, you could special summon it. It's just really what you want to use your normal summon for. I don't know. Well, here's one of the higher level dragons. I guess this is what would be referring to. This card is normal special summon, so I guess like right here, these two would go together. You can add 1 spell or trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists the card Gaia, the Dragon Champion, in its text, which is good. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Gaia, the Dragon Champion, and your monster to negate the effects of face-up monsters your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to it. So this is definitely the best card so far. This would most likely be a 3 of. So pretty cool, I guess. You're plussing off of the summon of it, and then you're also negating face-up monsters, basically all of them, because the whole idea of this archetype is big monster attack, so that's not bad. And it does that from the graveyard too, so you know, like effect veil and all that kind of stuff would not work. Artillery Catapult Turtle. You contribute 1 monster, special summon 1 Gaia the Fierce Knight monster, or 1 level 5 dragon monster from your hand or deck. You can only use this effect, and it's a level 4, so this is definitely 3 of. Obviously, it would most likely, you would either go into Gaia the Magical Knight or Curse the Dragon, depending. So yeah, that's pretty good, obviously. A level 8 Soldier Gaia the Fierce Knight. Quick effect, you contribute 1 dragon fusion monster, special summon this card from your hand. Okay, why? This better be pretty good. You can target 1 attack position monster on the field, change it to defense position. You contribute this card, add 1 level 7 or higher warrior monster from your deck to your hand. That's disgusting. You're getting rid of your fusion monster to summon this thing just so you can add a warrior monster from your deck to your hand, unless there's just no value out of your fusion, or there's like an easy way to... I can't even think of any instant fusion targets. Is Mud Dragon of the Swamp a... let's see. Mud Dragon of the Swamp. I think it's a worm, actually. It is a worm. I have no idea why that would ever be a thing. So here's probably the highest selling point of the set, which is Dogmatica. It's not called Dragma. I think it's fine. It's an interesting name. I don't think I'm going to actually go into the... I mean, you guys have seen in my gameplays. The thing with this is, like, it's an anti-extra deck thing, which is fine. But the format, as you guys know, changes pretty constantly. So I think the problem is... I mean, and yes, you can special summon themselves by, like, really easy targets like Almirage and stuff like that. But, again, it feels a little too conditional. And it also feels, like, really underwhelming, to be honest with you guys. Every time I play it, I'm like, okay, this is a pretty, like, meta-relevant thing. But I like, almost always win when I'm playing a more competitive deck. I've never been overwhelmed by Dogmaticas, I guess. So... we'll quickly breeze through. I guess I will, because some of you guys, I guess, aren't fully introduced. Cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster, special from the extra deck. So that's pretty good. If Cyberse is ever a meta-relevant deck, obviously that'd be pretty bad. You know, that'd be like almost an unbeatable card. If a monster special from the extra deck is on the field, you can special from your hand, and then it searches another Dogmatica. Okay, obviously this is a normal 3-of if you're playing the deck. And Dogmatica Theo cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster. I think those are... Yep, that's all of them have that effect, so... you can only use each of the following effects of this once per turn. If a monster special summon from the extra deck, you can special summon this card from your hand. I think that's... Maybe all of them have that clause. You target one face-up monster in the field, special from the extra deck. That was special from the extra... Until the end of the turn, this card gains 600 attack. So you're probably never going to run Theo... yeah, you know what I said with that. If okay, so what does this do? If this card is on the field, is destroyed by battle, a card effect, special on one Dogmatica from your deck. So that's pretty darn good. Only 1800 defense. So a lot of these honestly don't even have great defensive stats, but I guess the idea is that it floats into your bigger Dogmaticas, which is pretty cool. If you control another, this is Floridilus. You can negate the effects of one face-up monster in the field, which is nice that it's not just from the extra deck. It's not as restrictive. And it helps your Dogmaticas gain attack. That's pretty good. It maybe be a 2-of. I don't know if I'd run 3 of those necessarily. But it is nice that you can do that. I don't know if this is conditional, like if you do it during your opponent's turn. I'm assuming you would also negate when it's summoned. I don't know. You can banish one fusion, synchro, execute, or link monster from your graveyard, special summon this card from your hand. So, in today's modern game, that's pretty easy. And it starts sending, so this starts sending monsters from the extra deck, and obviously Dogmaticas have a bunch of floating, and you're going to load your extra deck with a bunch of floating effects from that. So, it's like an extra foolish barrel of goods, but also forces your opponent to thin their extra deck, which can make things really tough, especially on combo heavy decks, which will have a lot of 1-ofs. So that's a really good card. That's probably a 3-of. Dogmatica Nexus, and you can target 4 fusion synchro Xyz or link monsters in the graveyards. So that's pretty good removal. I already feel like this is a side decking card, because this would be absolutely useless against Ultrageist, which is going to be relevant, and Guru's also just always going to be relevant. Yeah, this is like graveyard, basically. Destroy all your opponent's attack position monsters. So yeah, the summoning requirement is a little iffy, but if it, if you get it off, if you're playing, let's say, Emancipators, I would say this is probably pretty good, or Synchro Eldritch, this would also be pretty darn good. Assuming you're able to get those monsters off the field, like they have to be in the graveyard, it's just okay. Fallen of Albaz. If this card is normal special summoned, you can discard one card. Fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters on either field as fusion material, including this card. But you cannot use other monsters you control fusion material. Okay. So this is like a monster super volley, but it can be responded to. So like, why would you use this? Huh. That's an interesting card, but I don't think it'll ever be used because there's already a card that can't be responded to and does the same exact thing. I guess if you want extra copies of that, and that's important to you, but you're gonna waste your normal summon on this. It is a dragon, so maybe you special summon it from. I mean, I guess maybe this is like Gaia support, and this is the other selling point of the deck, which is Informal Knights, which I think have been out for a really long time, and we're just finally getting them. Let's see if we can kind of make shift and see if we like the idea of this. You can banish one fire monster from your hand or graveyard, especially on this card from your hand, so not bad at all. Definitely doesn't waste your normal summon, which is always nice, and you can make this card's level become the level of that banished monster. You can, so you don't have to. I mean, for the way the card text is, so that's pretty nice too. You can, so that's good for your synchro plays, and then once it's synchro summoned, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Special summon this banished card from your during your second standby phase after this card's activation. So that stinks. That's way too late. That game's over by then, most likely. But I guess if it's not, it's. But yeah, I mean, really, you're using this for the level manipulation and also a free special summon, so that's okay in my opinion. Maybe you run one of, depending. I may get into Informal Knights. While this card is an equip card, which is what Noble Knights do, obviously, the equip monster cannot be destroyed by card effects. That's pretty good. It's not even like targeting protection. You can only use the effects once per turn. If this card is normal special summon, you can send one Noble Knights card or one fire monster except its own from the deck to the graveyard. If this card is in the graveyard, you can target one warrior monster you control, equip that monster to this card. So I think the idea is that you synchro summon with this card, dump whatever, maybe there's a graveyard effect that special summons it, so that's pretty good. And then you have that protection for your monster from card effects. That's, I don't know if this would be a 3 of, but it probably would be, honestly, especially because you get it's a Foolish Burial in the deck, and that's like the most powerful card in Yu-Gi-Oh! So moving on, in for Noble Knight Oliver. While this card is an equip card, your opponent cannot target the equip monster with card effects. So honestly, pretty useless because, I mean, I guess it would protect you from negation. Ugh, I don't know. Let's see. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You can send one fire monster or one equip spell from your hand or face up to the field to the graveyard. Special summon this card is a level 1 monster. If this card in the graveyard, you can target one warrior monster you control, equip it. And so, I mean, targeting can't be destroyed by card effects, and it can't be targeted by card effects. I mean, those are pretty good. I just think there's just so many equip cards, but maybe I guess they get taken out in favor of monsters. That way you're kind of thinning your deck, and you're not just drawing equip cards all the time. Maybe that's the idea behind this, and that's okay. And I do like that all of them special summon themselves, but definitely without minusing for the most part, although I guess this one technically does. But it seems like the theme is, you know, you're recurring your resources and you're trying to keep that advantage. Informal Knight Maugus. While this card is an equip card, it cannot be destroyed by battle. So battle, targeting, and card effects. So all 3 of these, assuming. And plus you can dump these to the graveyard, obviously, whatever one that you have, and you can kind of make it situational. You know, if you have a monster that's super hard to be killed by battle, you'd probably send the other one. That way you have targeting and destruction prevention. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can shuffle it into the deck, and 3 of your fire warrior monsters that are banished from your graveyard, draw 1 card. That's good just to recur your resources for sure. Although, I guess you would want them in your graveyard because you're equipping them, but maybe if you have all your equips and you just don't have any more space in your your spell and trap zone, that's pretty good. Drawing cards is never good. I'm never going to complain about that. This is a vanilla Melfi. And I think all these Melfis have the same effect. If your opponent normal special summons except during the damage step. Okay. Return it to the hand. Okay. So let's see. We'll breeze through these hopefully like really fast. So all of them have the same effect that if your opponent normal special summons a card, you bounce it to your hand, special summon a different one. So this one literally doesn't have an effect. It just special summons itself. I guess. Okay, that's terrible. So yeah, Fenny I don't think you would even play. You can return this card to the hand, then add one beast monster from your deck to your hand. And then during the end phase, you special summon it back. So you're plussing off of that, and then it gets back on the field. You don't have to use a normal summon on it. So Caddy's okay. You can return this card to your hand, then special summon one level 2 or lower beast monster from your deck. So that's obviously a 3-of if you're playing Melfi's. You can return this card to your hand, then you can add one level 2 or lower beast monster from your graveyard to your hand. That's okay. That's like a 1-of probably. Fluffle Dolphin. You can target one toy vendor in your graveyard, set it, and if you do, send one Fluffle monster or one Edge Symbios from your deck to your graveyard. So this is like a 3-of for Fluffles, obviously. Let's check out Edge Imp Scythe. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect. You can reveal this card from your hand if you summon one Frightfur monster from your extra deck. So, and then if one of your Fluffle monsters will be destroyed, your fusion monsters, you can banish this instead. I don't know what the advantage. I guess I haven't played Fluffles enough to know what the advantage of fusion summoning during your opponent's turn would be, but I guess that's pretty good. Dark Lord support. Caprius Dark Lord. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. Tribute summon one fairy monster face up. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can make all monsters reporting. Nah, blah blah blah. That's terrible. Another Dark Lord card. This card is normal or special summon. You can take 2 Dark Lord monsters from your hand or deck with different levels. Special summon one of them to your opponent's field and add the other one to your hand. Also, you cannot activate monster effects for the rest of the turn except fairy monsters, which is fine because that's Dark Lords. If this card is normal special summon, you can take. So it's a search, and I think there's definitely an advantage of giving your opponent a Dark Lord card. So that's pretty good. That sounds like probably a 3-of for Dark Lords. I could be wrong on that one, but just off the dome. Machina Razavenger. Okay. You can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, then target one Machina monster you control. It gains 1200 attack. That's terrible. You would never use that. Once per turn, you can either target one face-up monster you control, equip this card to that target, or unequip this card and special summon it. If this... Okay, you can either target one face or unequip it. If the equipped monster would be destroyed by a battle card effect, you can destroy this card instead. Okay, so I guess it's like a reoccurring resource. It's like really hard to get rid of. Who would ever play that? Maybe there's a way to cheese it. I guess I just don't know. Here's more Math Mech support. I don't know if this is like a port. When this card is normal summon, you can target one level 4 Cybers monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but it cannot activate its effects per turn, but who cares about that? A Math Mech monster that was controlled that was Synchro or Xyz summoned using this card in the field gains the following effect. Oh, once per turn during the turn this card was special summoned. When your opponent activates a card, you can negate that effect. That's really good. This is probably a 3-of in Math Mechs. Math Mechs are always a super interesting deck for me. Nemesis Keystone. You can target one of your banished monsters, except itself, special summon this card from your hand. If you do, shuffle that target into the deck. I guess this would probably be good in Orchist, I'm assuming. And then adds it back to the hand, so maybe that could definitely work. I don't know how like much Orcus needs to like recycle its banished resources. I'm assuming it would, so that's probably pretty good. Here's Quackimiru Supplier. If a face-up rock monster you control is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can add to your deck, to your hand, one Iron Core of Quackimiru, or one card that specifically lists Quackimiru in its text. So this is a search card for Quackimirus. I've never played Quackimirus, but that's pretty good, especially if you're playing an Ad Emancipator version of Quackimirus. I'm assuming that's where they're going with this, so that sounds like a decent card to me. Thunderhand. If a face-up monster you control with 1600 original attack is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effects into the graveyard, while this card is in your hand or graveyard, which I guess is pretty good, you can special summon it if you do destroy one card your opponent controls. Oh, so this is like that hand support where they're like, okay, I mean, sure. Why not? It just seems very easy to get around, but if you're really into that deck that does that, special summon, like, I think it's the thing that like Ice Hand, Fire Hand, and all that kind of stuff, so cool beans. This is a new Gizmek card, which is always pretty good. You can pay 1,500 life points, destroy as many monsters, destroy all monsters on the field that were special from the extra deck, which kind of sucks because it's restrictive on your part. But if it's the first monster on the field, obviously then you'd be able to do it after. And then you can only attack with one monster for the rest of this turn. That's fine. If 2 or more monsters are special from the extra deck or on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card. Okay, interesting. Which I guess means by battle or card effect, you can banish one monster from your opponent's graveyard, then gain life points. So this is probably going to be a popular side decking card, depending on the format, but it'll definitely be around for a long time. Decent stats, almost 3,000 attack. So just like every other Gizmek card, it'll be like a side deck heavy thing. Lifeless Leafish. Okay. When this card is summoned, you can add 1 fish monster from your deck to your hand. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 3 fish monsters from your graveyard, shuffle those monsters, and then draw 1 card. So it's very similar to the card we talked about above. That's fine. Congratulations, fish support. You can target 1 Poton monster. This is a potato. I'm not going to. Tracoon Lamp. Once per turn, you can discard 1 worm monster. This card gains 1,000 attack until the end of the turn. Once per battle, during damage calculation, if this attack card declares battles an attack position monster, you can apply each card's defense for damage calculation. So it has 2,000. I'm assuming the advantage would be with Tenyis, but this is an effect monster which goes against everything, so probably not. Megalith Pool. You can ritual summon this card with any Megalith card. That's the whole thing. If this card is ritual summoned, you can target 1 ritual monster in your graveyard. This card's level becomes the level of that target. Then add that target to your hand. So you're ritual summoning with this and then adding it back to your hand, I'm assuming, which is really good. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. Ritual summon 1 from your deck. Wow, you can ritual summon 1 Megalith ritual monster from your hand or deck by attributing monsters from your hand or field whose level equal or exceeds. So this is a amazing Megalith card, which is just randomly thrown in here, I guess. But hey, cool stuff. Here's the Gaia Fusion monster. This card's name becomes Gaia as the Dragon Champion while on the field. This you can only use each of the following effects of this card once per turn. During your main phase, you can target 1 other card on the field. This card loses exactly 2,600 attack, and if it does, destroy that card. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can make this card gain 2,600 attack. It's a quick effect, which is cool, but it's only during the main phase. I don't know. That doesn't sound very good at all. This is Titanclad, the Ash Dragon. Okay. Oh, we saw that earlier, the Albaz card. Gains attack equal to the combined original levels of monsters used for its fusion material times 100. Okay, that's cool. If this card is fusion summoned for the rest of the turn, it's unaffected by the activated effects of any other monster special summoned from the extra deck. So I'm assuming this is a Dogmatica support. During the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it's sent to this turn, you can add this card to your hand or special summon 1 Fallen of Albaz or Dogmatica monster from your deck. So obviously you're going to dump this. It's during the end phase though. And are you ever going to actually fusion summon this? I don't think so. It's okay, especially if you're dumping 2 with the 1 card. So you'll probably chuck one of these in your extra deck. Why not? New Frightfur card. If this card is fusion summoned, you can destroy one card in both players' fields. Okay. Once per turn, you can quick effect. You can target 1 fusion monster you control. Send 1 Frightfur monster from your deck to the extra deck to the graveyard. And if you do, the targeted monster gains attack equal to half the attack. So that's okay. I hate that you have to destroy something up for yourself. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's fine. New Dark Lord fusion. 3 dark fairy monsters, I guess. Okay. Your opponent cannot target fairy monsters you control with card effects, which includes this. you can only use one of the following effects. If this card is fusion summoned using Dark Lord Morningstar's material, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. That's insane, so that's really good. During the main phase quick effect, you can pay 1,000 life points, special summon one fairy monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. So, again, this is a fantastic Dark Lord card with 4,000 attack and 4,000 defense. That's a beastly card. Moving on, Informal Knight, Captain Roland. If this card is synchro summoned, you can activate this effect. During the end phase of this turn, send one equip spell from your deck to the graveyard. Pretty good, because it lets you equip it from the graveyard. Then you can add one warrior monster from your deck to your hand. Very good as well. During the main phase of this card is in your graveyard, you can target one warrior monster and equip it. It gains 500 attack, so that's a really crappy effect. But again, the ability to Foolish Burial and then also add, that's at least a +2. I'm assuming maybe you could do more depending on what you send. So this is like this is the best level 5, I'm assuming. Informal Knight Synchro, although I think there was another one that came out recently. This is Informal Knight Emperor Charles. That's a funny name. 3,000 attack, which is pretty nice. If an equipped card becomes equipped to a monster on the field, even during the damage step, you can destroy one other card in the field. During the end phase, you can equip one equip spell from your hand or graveyard to this card. Then you can equip one fire warrior monster from your deck to this card, and that as an equip spell that gives it 500 attack. Jeez, you can only use this effect, so that's pretty good. Because if you have the what's it called, something grenade equipped to it, you destroy that, and then you take a card out of your opponent's hand, and then you can give yourself an equip card from your deck. So that's good. And it already has 3,000 attack anyways, which is already decent. Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon, which is a general, which is cool. This card is synchro summoned. You can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can add one excavated light or dark monster to your hand. Also send the remaining cards to the graveyard. That already sounds insane. You can banish one light and one dark monster from your hand and or graveyard, except this card. Special summon this card from your graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field, so it also recurs itself. I'm thinking Chaos Thunder. That's the first thing that came to mind. Maybe you guys have another idea for this, although I don't know how easy it is for Chaos Thunder to synchro summon. Maybe not hard at all. It just sounds good to just mill 5 cards, assuming you're going to hit at least a dark in your top 5, and chucking the rest into the graveyard would be pretty good. So, and I know Thunder is using Chaos Space now, so they are playing light monsters. What those are, I don't know. Although I think Thunder Dragon may be light. So look out for this card. This is something to keep in mind. If you do buy this set, then that would be one that I would personally want to pull. Melfi of the Forest. Well, I try to go through this fast. I don't want to talk about this too much. You can attach one material from this card, add one Melfi monster from your deck to your hand. Okay, cool. It's a search. It's the Raid Raptor Ystrix of Melfis. It also negates effects whenever your opponent summons, so that's also decent. That's okay. Melfi Mommy. I hate that. 3. You're going to start with 3, assuming you use Obedience School, so it cannot be destroyed by battle. That's okay. And then use it if assuming you would use the effect one more time, you take no battle damage. If it's in defense mode, what does it matter? And 5, if an attack is declared involving this card and an attack with this monster, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that. So you're basically waiting your second turn to use the good effect of this. Nah, I'm out on that. 2 level 4 monsters. Okay, General Rank 4 was the last time we saw that. You can attach one material from this card, then target one plant monster or Rika card from your graveyard, add it to your hand. If this card with XYZ material is tributed, you can special summon one rank 5 or higher plant XZ monster from your extra deck or graveyard. Then you can attach this card to it as material. So that's pretty good. I'm assuming that was with Aroma, so that sounds decent enough. 2 level 5, so it's a general. This is Drill Driver Vespinato. Once per turn, you can also XZ summon this card by using one rank 4 XZ monster you control's material. Okay. This card cannot be used as material for an XZ summon the turn it was XZ summoned. This card attacks a defense position monster. Yeah, okay, we can move on. This is Ancient Warrior's Oath, Double Dragon Lords, 2 Beast Warrior monsters, including a Wind Ancient Warrior monster. Okay. All Ancient Warrior monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. You can only use effects once per turn. This card is linked summon. You can add 1 Ancient Warrior monster from your deck to your hand. Quick effect, you can send 1 other card from your hand or field to the graveyard. Then target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So that's a really good. I'm assuming Ancient Lords are going to be playing the heck out of this because it's a search and also dump. I don't know if there's graveyard effects. If you search and then you send it to the graveyard and it does something else, that would obviously be pretty good. And it's non-targeting. You can send 1 card. Oh no, it's targeting. Still, it returns to the hand, so it avoids destruction. Not bad, and it's only a link too as well. Like, keep that in mind. I think that's pretty darn good. A continuous spell, Galloping Gaia. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects during the battle phase. It's fine. I mean, that is the idea of the deck, so I can't be too bad. You can reveal 1 Gaia the Fierce Knight from your hand, then add 1 level 5 dragons. So that's obviously fantastic because you're gonna have a lot of funky hands. I think just playing high level monsters, and then you can reveal 1 dragon and add the opposite. So that's really good. That'll be a 3 of if you're running the Gaia deck. And here's the new Spiral Fusion. Fusion summon 1 dragon fusion monster from your extra deck. You can monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. It gains 2600 attack, and it can also make 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. So this is the OTK card. Obviously, it starts out. Yeah. So it starts out with 2600 attack, gains it automatically because you're summoning it. So that would be at least a destruction, a quick effect destruction if you need it. In addition, if it destroys a monster by battle, that's another 2600 attack. That's 2 quick effects where you can destroy monsters. So, again, this is the crux of the deck right here. If there's ever good Gaia support, it'll happen because of this card. That's pretty darn good. It just needs more interaction with your opponent. Like, other than that, there's nothing. It does nothing. Here's the field spell for Dogmaticas. Neither player can target Dogmatica monsters control effects of monsters that were special from the extra deck. Again, I just feel like it's too situational. After damage calculations, if your Dogmatica monster battled an opponent's monster, not special from the extra deck, which is pretty good, destroy it. And if this card is destroyed in the field zone, you can have each player send 1 monster from the extra deck to the graveyard. So even if you remove it, your opponent may be in a tough spot where they can't. So this is a really good field spell, especially if you're obviously only if you're playing a heavy extra deck based deck. Nadir's Servant, send 1 monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, then add 1 Dogmatica monster. So this is the 3 of. I'm sure everyone knows this card. It's like literally the best card of the deck, basically. And for the rest of the turn, you cannot special summon from the extra deck. So you're gonna be pairing this with control decks most likely. A new equip spell for Informal Knights. While this card is equipped to a monster, you can add 1 level 5 or lower fire monster from your deck to your hand, then destroy this card. If this card is sent to the graveyard, because the equipped monster is sent to the graveyard, so it's either a regular search spell, or it's sent to the graveyard because you like synchro summon or whatever. You can target 1 level 5 or lower fire warrior monster in your graveyard, special summon, but also, you cannot special summon a monster for this turn except warrior monsters, which isn't a problem with that. Unless you're playing, I've seen combo variants, but it does say for the rest of the turn, so it's okay. It's okay. It's honestly, most people probably use it for the search effect. So this is probably a 3 of just off of that alone. Another equip spell, Informal Knight Arms. Sure. While this card is equipped to a monster, it can target 1 face-up monster you control this turn. It cannot declare an attack, except you can target 1 face-up monster you control this turn. You cannot declare attacks except with that monster. Also, it gains the ability this turn to make a second attack during the battle phase. then destroy this card. If this card is sent to the graveyard, because the equipped monster is sent to the graveyard, you can target one face-up monster on the field, destroy it. I'm out on that one. Maybe you guys see something else, because usually Informal Knights are like one power card with 5 equips. I don't I don't know. I don't like it. Noble Arms Joycy, the dumbest names ever. While this card is equipped to a monster, you can target one fire warrior monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, then destroy this card. So again, all these equipped cards are like spell cards first, equipped cards second, which I like. This card's sent to the graveyard because the equipped monster was. You can special summon one fire warrior monster from your hand. Nah, again, I'm not vibing with that either. Melfi tag, target one Melfi monster in your graveyard, special summon it. A quick play. I mean, actually, it's pretty good. Quick play, bounces, searches. So that's probably a 3 of them Melfis. The more I think about it. Melfi hide and seek. The first time each beast warrior monster control is destroyed by a card effect, each turn it does not. You can target 3 beast monsters in your graveyard, different names, shuffle into the deck, then draw 1 card. That's probably a 1 of, because you want to kind of draw it late in game, draw 1. It's okay. Fright for repair. Target 1 Fright for fusion monster in your graveyard, return it to the extra deck, then you special summon 1 Fluffle or Edge monster from your graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon 1 Fluffle monster from your hand. I mean, I guess there really isn't a problem with Fluffle's special summoning, but I don't know. Facing this card turn 2, like your opponent has an established board, is this really like what's gonna make the difference for you? I don't think so. I did not realize triple tactic talents is in here. Okay, that's a big card. We'll get to that in a second. This is a field spell, the Deep Sea City. Oh, it's Umi. Interesting. When this card is activated, you can place 1 water monster from your deck on the top. 1 card from your deck and place it at the top of your deck. Once returned, you can target 1 water monster you control, increase its level by 1 or 2. Once returned during your main phase, if you special summon a water synchro monster, you can look at your opponent's hand. If you do, banish 1 card face up. So that's interesting. I think that would be really good. Huh. That's good. I did not realize that was coming out. So if you're into the whole Umi thing, I'm assuming you're going to be playing the hell out of it. You must send this card. This is Ancient Warriors. You must send this card during your second standby phase after activation. Once returned during your main phase, toss a coin. All right, we're good. Adamantipator Friends. Activate top cards of your deck equal to the number of rock monsters you control plus 5. And if you do, you can add 1 excavated rock monster with a level equal to or lower than the number of excavated cards. Also place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. Oh no, you can't accept rock monsters? No. No one's going to use that. At first I was like, that's insane. But no. If you guys don't know what triple tactical talents, it's Pot of Greed, it's Change of Heart, and it's not Delinquent Duo, but it does take a card and shuffle it into the deck. So going second cards, it's insane. And also Forbidden Droplets is in this. Oh wow. I can't recommend you buy this set. I mean, you got to buy singles of this, although these 2 cards are going to be so expensive. That's insane. Ugh. These are the chase cards of the set for sure. Blizzard, target 1 face-up spell card your opponent controls. That's never you're going to use that. Fury of the Kiaru Shin, add 1 torrential tribute. Oh yeah, and then the thing is with this, it adds torrential tribute, which is pretty interesting. The search is a good trap card, but there's a water monster that protects you from destruction, so it's just a Raigeki basically during your opponent's turn, which is pretty nice. Heaven Dragon Circle, tribute 1 worm monster, add 1 worm monster from your deck to your hand, or if you tributed a non-effect monster to activate this card, you could special summon it instead, but negate its effects. During your main phase, if you control a face-up non-effect monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 10-E card from your deck to your hand. So that's a 3 of, and 10-Es just become even more searchable now. That's insane. Roll a 6-sided dice. Okay, we can move on. I might skip these trap cards because none of these are good except for Shadal's Schism, because it lets you use window during your opponent's turn, so that's pretty good. We could just keep going. I'm trying to see if any of these are worth anything to even talk over. Audit Revolution Dragon, thanks. It's only been 60 years since you've been out. Thanks. This is great. It's a monster search card that's also a scale 12, which is insane. Yes, and also it recurs your resources. So this is an absolutely bananas card. That would be an awesome one to get. All these DD cards I already looked up are absolutely terrible. They're like based off of your opponent's pendulum summoning. So I guess if that format ever comes back, which I doubt it will, you got that. Speed Groid support. This is the only good DD monster in the set. It's a Persona Dragon for DDs, although it's not a quick effect, so as far as I know, it's not a quick effect. Doesn't say so. DD Dog is okay, and it's a scale 3, which is pretty good on the low end for DDDs. And I think the rest of the stuff is just imports. Yeah, these are cards that have been out for like 4 years that we just haven't gotten, so they're chucking them in here because of Phantom Rage is coming out. And oh, I think this is like a Starlight rare that's coming out for DD Crow. So that's the set. There are obviously some good cards in here, but overall, guys, I don't think Dogmatica is as good as it was like kind of hyped up to be, in my opinion. It's very underwhelming to me. In addition, Informal Knights, I would rather just buy singles, in my opinion, and most of the time I've already tell you guys that anyways, but I think there are still some intriguing sets like Secret Slayers. If you bought that, you're a freaking genius. You know, like there are some palatable sets every once in a while, but in my opinion, this is not. Now, if you want to go chase after, you know, what's it called, Forbidden Droplets, and you want to chase after Triple Tactic Talents, which I'm assuming will be the most expensive cards of the set, go ahead. That's just not what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy singles from the set, so I'm sorry, guys. I won't be buying a box of this unless you guys really want me to, but I doubt you will because it's not that good of a set. Other than that, guys, I know it's a little bit of a lengthy video today, but I just wanted to go over with you guys because maybe you're not familiar with it, and I would love to do this. And again, like I talked about, I've wanted to do a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast for a while, and I just don't really have the time or resources to do that. I'm hoping to jump on with somebody. We'll see about that, but in a form, this is a podcast. And I do plan on doing this for more sets coming up. I'll definitely probably do this for Phantom Knights and so on. Other than that, guys, thanks for sticking with me through all of this, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day.